If you build with LLMs, this one deserves your attention. Reinforcement learning for inverse structural design and rapid laser cutting of kirigami prototypes. AR14 2605.08098 V1 announced type. New abstract. Kirigami is an increasingly useful fabrication method to produce shape-programmable metamaterial structures. However, inverse design remains difficult because deployment is nonlinear, and feasible cut layouts must satisfy discrete compatibility rules, avoid overlap, and map one target shape to valid designs. Practically speaking, this saves real development time. Full details in the description below. This is a tool I'd actually use. Let me tell you why. BaLoRA, Bayesian low-rank adaptation of large-scale models. AR14 2605.08110 V1 announced type. New abstract. Low-rank adaptation, LoRA, has become the standard for fine-tuning large pre-trained models at reduced computational cost. However, its low-rank point estimate updates limit expressiveness, leave a persistent gap relative to full fine-tuning accuracy, and provide no built-in uncertainty quantification, limiting its applicability in settings where reliability matters as much as accuracy. My take: this lowers the barrier significantly. Link in the description. If you build with LLMs, this one deserves your attention. SalesSim, benchmarking and aligning multimodal language models as retail user simulators. AR14 2605.08334 V1 announced type. New abstract. We present SalesSim, a framework and testbed for evaluating the ability of multimodal large language models, MLLMs, to simulate realistic, persona-driven customer behavior in multi-turn, multimodal, tool-augmented online retail conversations. Unlike prior work that treat user simulation as surface-level dialogue generation, SalesSim models retail interaction and decision-making as a grounded, agentic process where shoppers with diverse backgrounds, preferences, and deal breakers interact with a sales agent, Seek. This release solves a real problem developers keep running into. Found a way to cool the DGX. Tap water keeps the temperature below 68 degrees Celsius at 95% GPU utilization running Quinn 3.5-122B, A10B Q6_K precision. 110 gigabytes memory usage, 80K context window, 18.77 tokens/second for continuous vision analyses. The value here is in how much complexity it abstracts away. Check it out, link below. I've seen this approach come up repeatedly among the best AI practitioners right now. Show HN, Sigmashake Desktop, AI Coding Agent Guardrails. Hacker News Community Post. 1 points, 2 comments. The reason this works is it forces the model to reason before answering. Full details in the description below. This is a tool I'd actually use. Let me tell you why. On distinguishing capability elicitation from capability creation in post-training, a free energy perspective. AR14 2605.08368 V1 announced type. New abstract. Debates about large language model post-training often treat supervised fine-tuning, SFT, as imitation and reinforcement learning, RL, as discovery. But this distinction is too coarse. My take: this lowers the barrier significantly. Link in the description. This release solves a real problem developers keep running into. Path-based gradient boosting for graph-level prediction. AR14 2605.08102 V1 announced type. New abstract. We propose Path Boost, a gradient tree boosting method for graph-level classification and regression that learns discriminative path-based features directly from the input graph structure. Building on a previous work, which was tailored to a specific chemistry application, PathBoost introduces three key extensions. 1. Adaptation to binary classification through gradient boosting with a logistic loss. 2. Incorporation of multiple node and edge attributes into the path feature space via a prefix-based decomposition. Out of everything that dropped this week, this is the one I kept coming back to. Distributional reinforcement learning via the Cram distance. AR14, 2605.08104v1 announced type. New abstract. This paper explores the application of the soft actor critic, SAC, algorithm within a distributional reinforcement learning setting and introduces an implementation of such algorithm named Cram based distributional soft actor critic, CDSAC. The novel approach employs distributional reinforcement learning to represent state action values and minimizes the squared Cram distance for learning the distribution. What I like is how composable this is with existing stacks. Worth a. I think this tool is going to become a staple in a lot of workflows. Geometry-free prediction of inertial lift forces in microfluidic devices using deep learning. AR14, 2605.08109v1 announced type. New abstract. Inertial microfluidic devices, IMDs, offer low-cost, high-throughput alternative techniques for many traditional particle, or cell, manipulation tasks, but simulating them requires being able to predict particle migration and thus particle lift forces under a variety of possible channel geometries. Recent work has demonstrated that machine learning models can be used to drastically speed up these numerical simulations, but doing so. This release solves a real problem developers keep running into. Sanity checks for long-form hallucination detection. AR14, 2605.08346v1 announced type. New abstract. Hallucination detection methods for large language models increasingly operate on chain-of-thought reasoning traces, yet it remains unclear whether they evaluate the reasoning itself or merely exploit surface correlates of the final answer. We introduce a controlled invariance methodology that exposes this distinction through two oracle tests /text's force, which replaces each response's final answer with the ground truth while preserving the reasoning trace, and /text's remove, which strips answer announcement steps while leaving the trajectory. Out of everything that dropped this week, this is the one I kept coming back to. How much do circuits tell us? Measuring the consistency and specificity of language model circuits. AR14, 2605.08348v1 announced type. New abstract. The circuits framework in mechanistic interpretability aims to identify causally important sparse subgraphs of model components, typically evaluated by measuring necessity and sufficiency. We measure circuit reuse, the proportion of components shared across per example circuits within a task, and investigate two less studied properties of this: consistency, the recurrence of components within a task, and specificity, there. I think this tool is going to become a staple in a lot of workflows. Change my view. The dynamics of persuasion and polarization in online discourse. AR14, 2605.08383v1 announced type. New abstract. Philosophical accounts of persuasion often assume that shared evidence and rational argumentation should lead to a convergence of views between peers, yet everyday discourse often suggests otherwise. In this study, we use large language models to analyze a corpus of debates on Reddit's r/ChangeMyView, where belief revision is publicly signaled. This is the kind of tooling that actually sticks around. This is a tool I'd actually use. Let me tell you why. Gina, Embeddings, v5, Omni, text geometry preserving multimodal embeddings via frozen tower composition. AR14, 2605.08384v1 announced type. New abstract. In this work, we introduce frozen encoder model composition, a novel approach to multimodal embedding models. We build on the VLM-style architecture, in which non-text encoders are adapted to produce input for a language model, which in turn generates embeddings for all varieties of input. My take: this lowers the barrier significantly. Link in the description. And that's your AI news roundup for today. If any of these stories caught your attention, drop a comment below. I'd love to know what you think. Hit subscribe so you never miss a daily update, and I'll see you tomorrow.